Most histories of World War II fighters focus on the specialists, the high-altitude interceptor, the low-altitude dogfighter, the long-range escort. The Yak-9 was none of those things. The lesser-known fact is that the Yak-9 was designed as a generalist, a fighter that could do everything reasonably well and nothing spectacularly badly. That sounds like faint praise until you realize that the Soviet Air Force needed one aircraft to fight at treetop level, escort bombers at medium altitude, and occasionally photograph German positions. The misconception is that multipurpose means mediocre. In the Yak-9's case, multipurpose meant available. The overlooked consequence is that the Yak-9's versatility allowed Soviet commanders to simplify their logistics dramatically. Instead of maintaining 3 different fighter types for 3 different missions, they had one. And on the Eastern Front, simplifying logistics was a superpower. The Yak-9 was not the fastest Soviet fighter. It was not the most heavily armed. It was not the highest flying. But it could do all of those things better than the aircraft it replaced, and it could switch between roles without a workshop visit. Here's how the multi-purpose capability worked in practice. The basic Yak-9 carried a 20mm cannon firing through the propeller hub and 2 12.7mm machine guns in the cowling. That was adequate for dogfighting. For ground attack, ground crews could replace the 20mm cannon with a 37mm NS-37 gun in about 4 hours. The 37mm fired a high-explosive shell that could destroy a German half-track with one hit. The trade-off was ammunition, only 30 rounds compared to the 20mm's 120. For reconnaissance, the Yak-9 was fitted with a camera pod in the rear fuselage and a second oxygen tank for high-altitude work. Pilots called that variant the Yak-9R. The R stood for Razvedchik, or scout. The camera pod reduced top speed by about 30 kilometers per hour, so reconnaissance missions were flown with fighter escort. That escort was usually other Yak-9s. The human limit of this versatility was the pilot. Switching between roles meant switching tactics, often on the same mission. A Yak-9 pilot might take off as an escort fighter, encounter German fighters, dogfight for 10 minutes, then dive to treetop level and strafe a column of trucks. The mental whiplash was real. Soviet training manuals emphasized situational switching, the ability to change tactics without thinking consciously about each step. Trained pilots developed almost muscle memory for role changes. Inexperienced pilots tended to freeze in the transition, which got them shot down. Here's an overlooked detail about the Yak-9's design that enabled its versatility. The wing structure was modular. The outer wing panels could be removed and replaced in the field. That meant a regiment could swap damaged wings overnight, but it also meant that specialized variants could be created by bolting on different outer panels. The Yak-9T, the tank buster with the 37mm gun, used the same wing as the Yak-9D long-range version. Only the inner wing ribs changed to accommodate the different ammunition boxes. That kind of parts commonality is, honestly, pretty boring to read about. But it is why the Yak-9 kept flying when German fighters were grounded for lack of a single specific bolt. By 1944, the Yak-9 had evolved into several role-specific sub-variants that all remained mechanically compatible. The Yak-9D carried 400 liters of extra fuel in the outer wings, giving it a range of 1,400 kilometers, enough to escort American bombers on shuttle missions to Ukraine. The Yak-9DD increased that range to 1,800 kilometers, allowing fighter cover for Soviet offensives deep into the Balkans. The Yak-9M was a general-purpose improvement with a reinforced airframe and better pilot armor. The Germans had nothing comparable. The Bf-109 could be modified for different roles, but each modification required factory-level changes. The FW-190 was more versatile than the BF-109, but its two versions, the radial engine A and the inline engine D, shared almost no parts. The Yak-9 achieved its versatility not through clever engineering alone. It achieved it through a philosophical commitment to standardization. All Yakovlev fighters shared the same basic cockpit layout, the same control forces, the same landing characteristics. A pilot who trained on a Yak-1 could fly a Yak-9U with 30 minutes of familiarization. The Soviet Air Force calculated that every hour spent on type conversion training was an hour not spent killing Germans, so they designed the conversion out. The wry observation is that the Yak-9 was the Soviet equivalent of a Toyota Hilux. Not beautiful, not glamorous, but it started every morning, carried whatever you loaded, and came back for more after you abused it. The multi-purpose nature of the Yak-9 also influenced Soviet ground attack doctrine. Instead of dedicated fighter bombers like the German Henschel Hs-129 or American A-20 Havoc, the Soviets used Yak-9s as impromptu attack aircraft when Il-2s were unavailable. The Yak-9 carried less bomb load, only 200 kilograms externally, but it could defend itself after dropping its ordnance. An Il-2 needed fighter escort. A Yak-9 was its own escort. That meant Soviet commanders could launch strike missions without waiting for fighter availability, which accelerated the tempo of operations. In the summer of 1944, during Operation Bagration, Yak-9 regiments flew an average of 5 ground attack missions per day. Each mission lasted 45 minutes. Each pilot was airborne for nearly 4 hours daily. The physical toll was severe. Pilots reported numb legs from the cramped cockpit, dehydration from the dry air at altitude, and chronic back pain from the G-forces of repeated dive attacks. But the Yak-9 itself held up. The airframe was designed for 150 hours of combat life. Many flew 3 times that. The reason was the steel tube frame that formed the forward fuselage. Unlike the Spitfire's monocoque construction, which cracked under stress, the Yak-9's steel frame bent but did not break. Repairs involved welding new tubing, not replacing entire sections. That sounds primitive. It was primitive, and it worked. The Yak-9 also served as a night fighter during the last year of the war. The Yak-9D was fitted with a simple radio compass and 2 landing lights mounted in the wing leading edges. Pilots called them Fireflies. Night interception against German Ju-88 bombers was risky. The Yak-9 had no radar, no night sight, no second seat for an observer. Pilots flew by ground control instructions, enemy at bearing 140, altitude 2,000, 10 kilometers ahead. They would spot the German bomber by its exhaust flames, close to point-blank range, and fire. The success rate was low, about 1 kill per 50 sorties. But each kill meant a German bomber could not drop its payload on a Soviet supply depot, and the Yak-9 cost less to lose than the Ju-88 cost to build. That arithmetic, cost-benefit analysis in human terms, was the Soviet way. The Yak-9 story matters today because it challenges the cult of specialization. Modern militaries love fighters designed for one specific task: air superiority, deep strike, electronic warfare. Those specialists are exquisitely capable within their narrow lanes. But they are also expensive and fragile if the mission changes. The Yak-9 was not the best at any single thing, but it was good enough at everything, available in large numbers, and repairable by a teenager with a welding torch. That combination won battles not by brilliance, but by persistence. The broader lesson is about matching complexity to resources. If you have unlimited time, unlimited money, and unlimited trained personnel, specialists make sense. If you are the Soviet Union in 1943, losing 1,000 fighters a month, you need something that keeps flying while the factory builds the next 1,000. The Yak-9 kept flying. And that is the highest compliment a wartime weapon can receive. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper.